All right, 10:01. Let's get started.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. As you likely know, I am Adam Fritz. I'm the CEO of Positron. Webinar today is going to be just a quick, probably 15-minute overview. Could be longer, could be shorter, but a quick overview of how our script prep tools work. That's going to focus on our existing functionality, or at least our existing functionality before last Wednesday. And if you have any questions about that, please put your hand up, or as I mentioned, put your question into the Q&A box. And then I will go into going over some of the new features that we have released over the last 2 weeks, which includes we have acquired the Pronounsology database. Pronounsology was essentially a pronunciation research tool that stopped operating recently, run by a wonderful man named Adam Werner. And so we've partnered with him, and he's actually given us a bunch of really, really good feedback that we've already implemented into our pronunciation tools. The first beta release of our character descriptions tool, which I think will dramatically improve the way narrators and producers and other people in audiobooks prep their fiction projects specifically. The first beta release of our dialogue detector and our script sync feature as well. So I think all of these are really going to, certainly over time, revolutionize the way narrators, producers, directors, anyone else prep their audiobook projects. We'll go over a few general updates, and then Q&A throughout the session is totally fine. No need to wait till the end, but then we'll open it up to any questions as we go. All right, Johnny, over to you. And Julia, thank you for the feedback. I also love Vancouver, other than the rain, but that is what it is.
Okay, let's get started then. So the first script tool our script prep tool that we're going to cover is our pronunciation guide. If you don't know what it is, it's a very quick way to get prepared for your recording by finding all the difficult to pronounce words that are in your script. And we're also integrated with a bunch of online resources to help you research those words automatically. So I'm just going to jump over to Positron and walk you through it. So when you're logged into Positron, you can access the pronunciation tool by clicking this tab up at the top. So all you need to use this tool is to upload your script. You don't need to upload any audio yet. So as long as you've created a project and uploaded your script, you just click here. And what we'll do first, when you upload your script, Positron will scan every single word in your script. And based off of some criteria, put together a list for you of all of the potentially hard to pronounce words. And you can look at that list by clicking this Open Suggestions button. So the criteria that it's going to use to put this list together for you is it's going to look at capitalized rare words. So this will find, you can see it's found a lot of names here. We're using the Jungle Book. So it's finding unique proper nouns, so names of people, places, anything like that will get pulled in here. It'll also look for complex words. So complex words we find those in a couple of ways. First, we actually had narrators go through 150,000 words and rate them simple or complex. So that taught our algorithm how to find these complex words. We'll also look at the combinations of letters in the word based off of certain combinations. Can tell it's kind of hard to pronounce. And we'll also find any foreign words. So any words not in the primary language of your book, those will all show up here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add some of these words. So the idea is you would take a look at this list. Any words that you need help with the pronunciation for, you can click this Add to Research List button. That will pull it over to the right side and simultaneously look up this word in an online dictionary. So right now I've got Merriam-Webster selected here. You can click this button to choose from any of our integrated dictionaries, which are right here. So we have Merriam-Webster, Oxford. Actually, I'll just open this up here. So Oxford US, Oxford Great Britain, Forvo, Merriam-Webster, and Adam will show you more about the pronunciology. Pronunciology? Is that how you say it, Adam?
I believe it's
Pronounsology?
pronounsology.
Perfect.
Pronounsology.
Pronounsology. Okay, so those are our online integrated dictionaries. So Positron, depending on which one you have selected here, when you add it to your list, we'll automatically find an entry if it exists in the online dictionary and pull it back. So let me sort this by alphabetically here so we can find some regular words. So from here, I would add any words I want to my list. I can also ignore words to remove them. You can also ignore words entirely. So positron never suggests these words to you in any future project. So if it suggests a word like this word here, a who, if I never want to see this suggested in any future project, you can click this three-dot menu and ignore word in all projects. So you can kind of tailor this suggestions list to your own vocabulary using that. Yeah, so the workflow from here, most people go through this list. They add all the words they want to research. We can see it's found these words in Merriam-Webster, so it's pulled the phonetic spelling as well as a recorded pronunciation.
Abyssinia.
So it's a really quick way to find these words. You can also add any custom words you want. So if there's a word not on the suggestions list, but a word you want to look up, you can add any word you want up here. So I can just add my name there, and it will find that word in Merriam-Webster. So a couple of other resources. So let's say, let me find a word that positron does not find the pronunciation for. So I'm going to add a couple of these. Well, looks like it's finding all of them. Okay, so this word here, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it came back with no phonetics. So at this point, positron has a couple of other resources for you to check out this word in. First, you can click this cloud button, and this will show you if this entry exists in any of our other integrated dictionaries. It'll show all of those entries here. So that's the first place I suggest you look. If it's not found in there, over on the right-hand side, we have other links. So these are one-click links to look up this word in other online resources like How'd You Say, Youglish, or OneLook. So from here, I could click, let's see if it finds it in Youglish. So this is probably a difficult word to find. Let's see if I can find another one. All right, let's pull in Ali here.
And just while Johnny is looking, in the example of a hey or a hi or whatever it is, if you can't find it, maybe that's a fantasy name or a science fiction character name that's made up. That's a great use of the share button to share it with your author or rights holder who can tell you what the correct pronunciation is.
Absolutely. So for this word here, or any of these, kind of made up words, we can share this with the rights holder using this blue share button up at the top. So just show you right here. You can share this project with anyone you'd like to collaborate on or collaborate with. You can also leave a comment on this word. So for this word, if I had a question for it, I could actually leave a comment like, I need help with this word, something like that. And it will put a little notification here. So when they come in to help you with the project, they'll actually see this, this notification, and it's an easy way to collaborate there. So once they've given you the correct pronunciation or you found it in an online resource, I could click this microphone button to edit the entry here. So this allows you to record a pronunciation for it or upload some audio. So if they sent you a recording snippet of the correct pronunciation, you can upload that here. So I'll record something here. Ahe, ahe. That might not be correct, but that's my best guess. And then you can put in a phonetic spelling as well. So do something like that. And this will save the entry here. So you have this word fully researched. Okay, let's see what else to go over here. So we've already gone over the automatic research and the manual edits, so editing those words manually, and the one-click links. The only other thing to mention here is if you've read through the manuscript or you put together your own list of words, you can add them one at a time up here, or you can actually import a list of words. So there's some import and export options here. The import list is really simple. You just copy and paste your entire list of words in here. So I'll just add a few, just random words here. And it will research them all at once. So if you already have a list together, instead of looking for them one at a time online, just add them all here. It'll find them all at once. It's a very handy tool. So that's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions about this, there are some deeper features, but that's the pronunciation guide at a high level. So moving on to the character voices guide. So this is another prep tool designed to help you find and curate character voices for all the different voices you're going to have to perform in the manuscript. So there's a bunch of different aspects to help you put together these character voices. First, you'll see we can add the photo, which we've got here. You can also add aliases as well. So if Sherlock is going to be referred to as Holmes or Sherlock Holmes, you can add their secondary names here. And then we have areas for description. So the character description here is who this character is, their personality traits, their appearance, things like that. And then the voice notes are how they sound. So you can put the notes in there. And I'll show you it in action here. That actually looks like we have a question. Is there a feature where I can put in a custom pronunciation for a name? I just did a book where the author wanted Beryl pronounced as Burl, but Positron flagged it every time as mispronounced. Yes, so there's a couple of ways to deal with that. So Positron, you can't tell Positron to expect a certain pronunciation for a word, but we can. So if you added in that pronunciation entry here, you'd have that correct recording. And then in the proofing side of things, you'd actually just want to filter out the flags that Positron's flagging incorrectly.
And that's a great segue into what I'm going to talk about later, our new script sync feature. So yeah, excellent segue.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so moving on to the character guide here. So the character guide works very
And
similarly.
sorry, Johnny,
Oh,
just
go
one
ahead.
thing, just a reminder, please use the Q&A box because I'm monitoring the Q&A box, but the chat's a little harder to keep up with. So please put questions in the Q&A box.
Okay, so the character guide, where was I? Works very similarly to the pronunciation guide. So we will also scan your script looking for character names. So the suggestions list here will show you all the names that Positron's found in your script. So you do need to kind of sift through this and make sure they're actual characters and not just a name. But we have a couple of tools to help you do that. So you can first hover over the name here to see a couple of entries of this character. And Adam's going to show you some new tools. So a lot of our feature releases have to do with the character guide, making it more automatic. So I'm going to save that for him. But essentially here you would add, oh, it looks like we have a question as well. Are there other roles able to access these tools, or is it just viewable to narrators since it's a prep tool? Great question. So when you share the project with a collaborator, what you'll want to do is give them the correct permissions here. So these are all the people that can access this project. And over on the right-hand side, there's different roles. Now we have a support article that breaks them down in detail, but essentially researchers.
Where it says click here right above who has access, you can click there and it'll take you to that support article Johnny mentioned.
Yep, it'll show you exactly what things they can access. But if you just want someone to access your prep tools, researcher or viewer, I'd recommend researchers so they can actually leave comments and stuff like that. Narrators and proofers have access to the proofing tool. And so that's it in a nutshell. Okay, so I'm going to add a character manually up here so I don't spoil any of the new features. So I'm going to add a character up here. Sherlock is not in this project, but I'm going to use him as an example. Oh, wow. And it actually pulled this from so I have all of these details saved to my account. So it actually pulled these in automatically. But this is essentially what the character guide is here for. So you can upload your photo here to give it a physical representation. These are the descriptions of the character, and these are the description of his voice. We also have an area here where you can record voice samples for this character. You can record as many as you want, 30 seconds each in each sample. But this way you have all of the notes on a character and all the different voices that you're going to have to bounce between saved in one place. Anything else, Adam, you want to add?
One thing to note, I also shared that support link in the chat for everyone. So if you're curious about what each role does, just click on that link.
Perfect. All right. Well, there are again, some more features available, but Adam's going to touch upon those a bit later. So if you have any other questions about this, please let me know in the Q&A box. But going to move on to our other script prep tools. So here, this is a good example, actually. We have the custom character guide and pronunciation dictionary. So this feature allows you to save characters and pronunciation entries to your Positron account. This enables you to reuse them easily in other projects or transfer this data between projects if you're working on a series or things like that, which is actually how, when I added Sherlock to the list, it pulled in all the details about this character automatically. So this is accessible from your account. So if you go to your email address up in the top right and you go to your profile, there's a lot of settings in here, but you'll see the pronunciation dictionary as well as the character guide. So these are pronunciations that we've already researched that we don't want to have to research ever again. So you add them to your account here, and you can then transfer these to any project that you create in Positron. This is really useful as well for character voices or different characters. So these are the characters saved on account. A lot of our customers will use this to save each of their character voices. Maybe they'll reuse them in other projects or use them for inspiration for new voices that they're creating. So the way to add these entries is one, you can create them straight from this page here. So I can create a character, all of their details, and save it to my account. Or I can go to an existing project. So I'm going to go to the pronunciation guide first. Question from Nick: how do I take pronunciations from existing books to my larger scale pronunciation dictionary? Perfect question. So if you want to add any words from your Positron project, there's a little plus button right here, which allows you to add them one at a time. So if I wanted to add this word, I can just click that plus icon and it adds it to your account. If you have a lot of words and you don't want to click one by one, on the import export button here at the very bottom, there is a button to transfer all words to the PD, and this is an abbreviation for pronunciation dictionary. So you can take all the words from this project, pop them in the pronunciation dictionary. You can also take all of the words from your dictionary and put them into this project using this button here. So that's how you kind of move them back and forth between your account and your projects. And the same exists for your character guide here. You'll see there's the plus icon here that I can add, and I can also transfer them to this project. Nick, glad to hear that. That's awesome. Okay, well, that is it for, I'm kind of moving quickly so we have time for the new features. I've already covered how to add words. Okay, so the last tool I'll show you is the export marked up script feature. So this is a great way to, if you mark up your script with any notes for pronunciations or voices, you can use all of the data that you put into your script prep tools and automatically mark up your script. So to do that from your page here, so once you've added information into these tabs here, there's a button for export marked script. And just by clicking that, you'll see all the available data to be pulled in. But Positron will highlight any word on your character guide. And let me go back here so you can see the picture. Any word on your character guide will be highlighted in blue, and it'll have a comment attached to it. So if you click any one of these entries, you can see Mowgli is selected here. It shows the phonetic spelling, or how to pronounce that word, as well as a link to the pronunciation for that word. The character guide will also show you the character description and the voice notes in one comment, so you can quickly be reminded of who is this character and what do they sound like. So it's a great way to get a head start on marking up your script there. Okay, kind of going rapid fire through. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat or in the Q&A box. But here I will actually pause and hand it over to Adam to show you our exciting new features. So let me get logged out of that.
All right, thank you. Give me 1 second to get logged into the right place here. Okay, character voice guide updates, the character descriptions tool. Really, this came about when we first launched the character voice guide. We created something that was really good for recording information, but not pulling information from the script, other than a list of characters in the suggestions tool. The pronunciation guide, in my opinion, is a great tool to not only record information, but also pull data from a script. And from other sources, obviously, all the integrated dictionaries. So our goal was to make the character voice guide, that we have a lot of different acronyms, CVG, CCG, PRG, that we use internally. So that's why I'm getting a little confused. From the character voice guide, our goal was to make it something that would allow you to pull information from the script to do your prep quicker, faster, more efficiently, but then also allow you to really get granular on how you should be performing a character's voice, for example, based on cues from the script. So what this tool is designed to do is it will automatically populate character descriptions for any character you choose. It'll pull things like the character's appearance, their personality, their vocal traits, voice descriptions, all that kind of thing. I'll be very honest, this is in beta right now. We have built a large language model that one of our developers, when describing how we need to improve this, it's kind of like a work of art. It takes a lot of effort and time and patience to make it better. So it is going to evolve over time, but I can already show you a couple examples here where it is working very effectively. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to, let me make my screen slightly bigger here. And Johnny, if you can just handle the, you can see my pronunciation research now, Johnny, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Now,
yeah, it looks great.
Perfect. So you're going to open suggestions. Currently, anything that is listed in that is actually pulled information through this large language model, our character descriptions tool, is going to be marked here with the AI tag. We are adding a filter, which does not look like it's done yet, in a upcoming release, where you'll actually be able to filter to only show the characters that have had information pulled with that AI tag. We will also be adding an ability to essentially, you can see here, Bagheera does not have the AI tag, where you can say, okay, large language model, go find the information about Bagheera for me. So I am going to add Ricky Tikki. I am going to add Shere Khan. I'm going to add Little Tumai. And I will add another one. Let's add Big Tumai. Why not? Okay. So now we're going to go in here into our character guide, and you can see when information is pulled, all of this has been pulled automatically, with the exception of Sherlock, which we typed into a different project. So as I said, it's in beta. In a previous project, before we made a release of the large language model, Mowgli showed up as a high, clear, boyish voice. For some reason, Mowgli is showing here as not applicable, bare accent, deep voice. Pretty clear there that is a mistake. However, if you look at the other ones, Shere Khan, gender male, voice described as angry, savage, roars. Father Wolf described as deep, rumbling voice. So it will pull all of these cues and really help you get pretty granular on how you're going to perform that voice. Let's jump in here. Okay, so then you can also pull dialogue cues from the book. So to do that, you can click on Shere Khan, for example, and anything that populates here will actually show lines of dialogue from your script. So this is only showing one example now. As I said, this is in beta, but here, for example, he says, "The cub is mine, give him to me. What have the free people to do with a man's cub?" It was described as crying. So in theory here, I could copy and paste this. I could open this up, tag crying. I can also go into a couple other examples. So if I click on Mowgli here, see, it does populate a whole bunch of things. Laugh. I'm gonna. Let's see what else I can pull here. You could say, shouted. Eventually, we will also be able to pull cues about specific lines of dialogue. So you would be able to mark up a script. This is a few releases down the road, but you would actually be able to mark up specific lines of dialogue with this this sentence should be said loudly and shouting. This sentence should be said quietly and sadly. So you'll be able to pull a lot of those, a lot of that information. So here's another example. This is not related to Mowgli, but you could say one tattered wolf howled and say this, or purred Bagheera. So these are all examples where you can use this tool to pull those cues out of the book to either create your character's main voice or to pull specific lines or cues about individual lines of dialogue. Johnny, one thing I've noted here, can you just make a note to remind me of an improvement we need to make to this page relating to scrolling? Okay, we have something in the chat. Great improvement to this feature and what I was looking for. Awesome. One thing I do ask is have a little patience. I just want to be super clear. This is a beta release. We are going to be, improving it. And don't be afraid to share some feedback because this will take a few iterations to really make it perfect, or as close to perfect as anything can be. And so please, if you do have feedback, if you do have something that doesn't go properly, please let us know. Kelly Wilkinson, can you also select the particular lines and record those lines and save it? No, but Johnny, please make a note of that. That is an option for a future feature release. And Jindra, this is a little off topic, but I've noticed that when I sort my characters alphabetically, they go back to the default of first appearance when I open the program the next time, even though the marker in the sort box still reads alphabetically. Interesting. That may be a bug. Johnny, if you can make a note of that, we will look into that and see if we can fix it. Any questions specifically related to the character descriptions tool and or the dialogue detector? One thing I wanted to touch on is that a future release of the dialogue detector is intended to also allow you to integrate with the export mark script and say, okay, I want to highlight every line of Mowgli's dialogue in green, and I want to highlight or underline every line of Shere Khan's dialogue in blue, and really make that a very customizable and time-saving tool, because as many of you know much better than Johnny and I, because we are not, no one in their right mind would pay us to narrate an audiobook. Script markups is a really manual process. So anything we can do to speed up that process for you would be, that's our goal. Okay, now jumping into the pronounsology integration. So pronounsology, Adam Werner, wonderful guy. He unfortunately closed down pronounsology after a few years of operation, but we were able to come to a partnership where we acquired the almost 100,000 custom pronunciations curated by his team and all the narrators who used that tool, narrators, producers, a whole bunch of other people. So if you do want to use that, you're going to go into the pronunciation tab. I suppose I should have found something that actually is in the pronounsology here, but let me think of, actually, give me 1 second. I will, Johnny, you can't see my GitHub page here, right?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
And Kelly, to answer your question, will you have plans to bring in an accent feature? For example, if the character is supposed to have a British accent, can Positron detect or note it somehow? And Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is in the character descriptions tool should be marking specific traits about the character. So if it's detected that this character is from England or Ireland or something like that, it is in the plans to have that be recognized and automatically populated in the character notes. So yes, I believe so.
Okay, I am just going to pull 3 examples of things that I know are in the pronounsology database. Okay, so pronounsology, again, you can set it as your main tool here by clicking on pronounsology. So everyone knows as well, you can also, Johnny, you just want to mute your mic. There's a click.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I'm the Canadian one. I'm the one who's supposed to be apologizing. You can also go into your profile again, just so everyone knows, and set what your default pronunciation dictionary is by clicking on proofing and prep, and then select your default pronunciation dictionary. Another thing, Johnny, we need to add pronounsology to one of those options. Okay, so you're going to go into your project here, and I've added 3 things that are in the database, so hopefully they do show up. Let's find them. They're not going to show up with any count because I would be very surprised if 72 kilometers per second MPC actually shows up in Jungle Book. So when you're doing a live demo, it always has some interesting. Let me search this. Aaron Palushaj. There we go. So this came up from the pronunciology database, A. Bartlett Giamatti also. So these are, the pronunciology database is going to be, if I remember correctly, there's a lot of Latin terms, medical terms, herbology terms. So not herbology in Harry Potter, but actual the study of plants, as well as, proper names and historical terms and stuff like that. So a really good resource. I would say it's going to be more on the edge case resource in terms of random names and stuff like that, but it's 100,000 terms that will really make things better and provide an additional resource that's going to be uncommon to find anywhere else on the internet. One thing to note, the pronunciology database is in text only. So that is not going to include an audio here, but that's where I could click on here. And you're going to hear me butcher the pronunciation of Aaron Palushaj. Oh my goodness, I butchered that one. Okay, but now you can save your own recording if you'd like. Question here from Julia. So right now, will the dialogue for each character be included in the exported script, or that only happen later when you use codes? That, Julia, just to be super clear, the ability to highlight character dialogue with the dialogue detector is a future planned release. That is not currently possible. But if this is something you would like to do in future, please, send us your wish list on what you'd like that feature to look like. Because the more information we have up front, the better we can design it. Okay, this is phonetic text only, as I said, and thank you to Adam Werner, who's been great, and he actually helped us come up with a couple other suggestions and ideas for the tool. So thank you very much for all your help, Adam. Okay, now our script sync feature, which I personally am very excited about because, Kelly, can you demo how we would ensure that we can use pronunciology tools? So yeah, very simply, Kelly, a couple things. You can either set it as your custom dictionary or your first choice dictionary in the API here. Or let me refresh. So now it's not the first feature here. I'm going to refresh this. There's going to be nothing for Aaron Palushaj in Oxford, but then I can click on this cloud icon and I can see that pronunciology has an entry for Aaron Palushaj. And then I'm going to click actions here, and then this replaces that information. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to go into Script Sync, which is a really exciting tool. And the goal of this is essentially create a two-way interface from your script prep into your QC proofing, and from a previous book or a current book from your QC step back into your script prep. So really, one thing we're going to be doing here, I'm going to be first focusing on from script prep to proofing. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go into my project. I'm going to go into the chapter here, and you're going to see 2 new checkboxes up here that should be defaulted to off: highlight pronunciations and highlight characters. So what I'm going to do here, click on highlight pronunciations. What this does, this allows me to automatically highlight every word in your chapter that you've got open that you have added to your pronunciation resource, to your pronunciation list. I can click on here. It'll show me, in this case, this is also a character and a pronunciation, but I'm going to click on here. And apparently I recorded a blank pronunciation for Mowgli. I'll go find another example here, Lungri. I haven't recorded a pronunciation, but I can see it should be pronounced Lungri. So now I'm going to listen to that.
His mother did not call him Lungri, the lame.
That sounds great. Sounds exactly what we're looking for. So it's an ability to essentially, so one thing to answer a question that came up right at the beginning of this webinar, let me find it in the chat here. Let me find it way up at the top. Is there a feature where I can put in a custom pronunciation for a name? And so while you can, just to be super clear, you can obviously add custom pronunciations into your pronunciation research tool, that does not change what Positron's proofing algorithm is expecting to hear. And the reason is everyone who uses Positron uses the same algorithm. So let's say, for example, Positron is expecting to hear, let's say the name, Johnny's name, for example. If they see Johnnny, Positron, our algorithm, will be expecting to hear the name Johnny. In the event that in a book, you want to pronounce him Gianni, for example, or something odd like that, you can't tell Positron's proofing algorithm that, because then that would change for literally every one of our other customers what Positron is expecting to hear. The goal of this tool is to then take your pronunciation that's in your research guide and then do a double check to make sure, A, that Positron is hearing the correct thing, and B, that your narrator has read the correct thing. So, for example, here with Lungri again, Lungri, we click on here.
The man's cub is mine, Lungri.
So let's say, for argument's sake, the narrator said lingerie. I could click and highlight that name. I could click on the speech bubble. I could say pronunciation should be Lungri, not Lundri. Click save. So you can go create that annotation, create that manual pickup based on that. So that's what I mean when I say we're trying to integrate script prep into the QC and pronunciation side of things. And Johnny, if there's any questions or comments, please just jump in.
Yep, there's one question from Ashley. Are there any additional charges to use these features and tools? There is currently not any additional charges for these new features. It's just the same charges for using the script prep tools in general. These are all just included in that package now.
Exactly. Yes, good answer. And if anyone, Lindsay, for anyone who hasn't used those tools, for anyone who hasn't used those tools before and is looking for information, Lindsay, if you can just put the support page on the script prep tools pricing in the chat, that would be awesome. Thank you. Question from Josh. What should we do if Positron is misunderstanding how a word should be pronounced or is having trouble matching how it transcribes the audio? So good example. So let's say, for example, Positron is marking a pronunciation. Let me find one. That might work here. Is marking a mispronunciation that's not actually a mispronunciation. I'm going to use the handy only show hide feature up here, and I'm going to okay, I'm gonna have to go into another project where I know there is a mispronunciation. Apologies here. Okay, so I know for a fact that there is a mispronunciation here. Here's an example where the narrator says misperceptions instead of mispronunciations.
Of course, it will find misperceptions and misspoken words.
Let's say in this hypothetical example, you wanted to change every mention of mispronunciations in the script to misperceptions. Or, it's a Johnny Gioni example, where Positron is flagging something as a mistake that you do not want to be a pickup. And especially if this is, 5, 10, 500 times throughout a book, you're going to just use this filter. What that will do is that will automatically ignore that exact same mistake. Text says mispronunciations, audio says misperceptions throughout the rest of the book. So think of that as if you've ever used spell check in Microsoft Word, ignore all button in Microsoft Word. Josh, I hope that answers your question.
And one thing to add with that, Josh, is so in the example of like a character name where in one of my favorite books, the main character's name is Quoth, but it's spelled Kvothe, Positron would have a tough time expecting Quoth in that situation. So the filter out button there would work great. And that's also a perfect use case of the script sync tool to have that character pronunciation name available so that when that word comes up while you're proofing, you can double check and make sure it's being said the way it should be pronounced and not the way it's spelled.
Exactly. And it sounds like Nick Peck is also a fan of whatever book that is.
We'll be waiting a long time, Nick, for the third, or forever. I don't know, but glad to know you're a fan.
Okay, so now on to what you can do with the characters as well. I'm going to toggle off the pronunciations here and just show the characters. One thing to note, the pronunciation, you have both of them flagged, it's going to turn green here. You can see how Mowgli is turned green. If there's no pronunciation and character entry for the same thing, the character is going to highlight as blue, and that's green because yellow plus blue equals green. I'm going to click on the name Mowgli here, and you can see here what I've got is the pronunciation. I have not added a voice sample. See if I have another character here that I have added. I do not. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is I know that I've added Father Wolf, and I don't know why it's not showing up as a blue highlight, but that's a problem for another day. But what I can do here is I want to show the script sync feature where you can go from the proofing tool to create an audio sample for how a word should be pronounced or how a character's voice should sound. So I'm going to do the pronunciation first. So let's say the name Sione here. Sione, probably again butchered that pronunciation. What I'm going to do is just listen to this quickly.
Evening in the Sione Hills.
Sione. So what I can do, I'm going to click and highlight that. I'm going to click on this microphone. I'm going to go into pronunciation. I'm going to go add pronunciation. Okay, now, moment of truth. Let's go into the pronunciation tool. Sione. Oh, there's two E's, that's why. And we're going to play it. Fingers crossed.
Sione Hills.
So we just created that entry in pronunciation from the proofing tool. So that's what I mean in terms of integration. It takes data, it takes things from your proofing into your script prep. A really good example of this, you've got a book series. Nick Peck, I know we've gone over, we've had a workaround workflow for you and some of our other users for quite a while. You've got a book series, you recorded books 1 and 2 before you started using the wonderful tool that is Positron. Now you want to go take all the cues from that book and add it into book 2 or book 3's project before you start recording. This is a really easy tool to take those pronunciations into your research. Also, you can do it with characters. So here I'm going to use the example of, and this LibriVox recording narrator, I don't know who it is, but she doesn't do a lot of different character voices, but for the sake of argument, let's say her version of Father Wolf's voice is just fantastic and not the same as all the other ones here.
"Arr," said Father Wolf. "It is time to hunt again."
Okay, I am going to click and highlight this section of text. I am going to click on this microphone button. I'm going to click on characters. I'm going to click on add voice sample to Father Wolf. Let's go for another one. Let's see, one more character here. There's a lot of Father Wolf. I know there's some, where's some, hopefully I've got Bagheera here. So here is a line of dialogue from Bagheera. Click here, go to characters. Of course, I have not added Bagheera there, which is super helpful. See if I can find one line of dialogue for Shere Khan. Apologies. Here's an example. Mother Wolf. He has missed. What is it? I'm going to click on here. I'm going to go to characters. I'm going to go to, of course, I haven't added Mother Wolf, but I'm just going to add it to Big Tumai for the sake of argument here. Now I can go into characters. I can go into Big Tumai.
"He has missed," said Mother Wolf.
So that is the audio sample that I just pulled from proofing, and Father Wolf.
"Arr," said Father Wolf. "It is time to hunt again."
So it's that two-way integration, script prep to proofing, proofing to script prep. The script sync tool, it might take you a while to figure out what your exact use case and workflow is, but I strongly believe this is going to be a really essential part of using Positron as we go. So please try it out and let us know what you think.
One thing to add on that is pretty soon right now you have to have the character on your character list to add any audio snippets to that entry. Pretty soon you'll be able to just create a new one. When you highlight a section of dialogue, you just create new character, put all the information in, and it'll save that audio snippet as well. So that's kind of the next step.
Yeah, so in that example where I had so here's Tabaqui, for example. I could click and highlight here for Tabaqui as I'm going through. This is also going to be integrated into the very similar integration to when we build the teleprompter we've been talking about for a while, to allow you to do your read of the book in Positron. So you could click on here, click the microphone. If Tabaqui is not an entry, there would be an add entry, and it would automatically, say add character, and you type in the character's name and do it that way. So really, we're looking to make this a really well integrated tool, forward and backward between all the steps of the audiobook production process. Another thing we are looking at eventually is, for those of you who have not used scan occurrences, it is a really powerful tool to allow you to listen to all pronunciations of a certain word here. So Mowgli, for example, you can click scan. I'm going to do C&E here. You can click scan. You can listen to what the pronunciation entry is.
C&E.
And then you can go to scan, and it'll play all occurrences of that word.
Very warm evening in the C&E hills.
We do have a plan based on the dialogue detector to be able to listen to all lines of dialogue for a character back to back to back. So once that dialogue detector is really dialed, you could say, okay, I want to listen to every line of dialogue for Mowgli, and it'll play every line of dialogue back to back to back, and you can identify, hey, this is actually in Shere Khan's voice by accident for the narrator, things like that. Okay, done all of that. Finally, a few general updates. Specifically as it relates to characters, the large language model has added a number of steps to our processing pipeline. So when you upload a book to Positron or you upload an audio file, you can likely see the little blue status update here that shows up down here for books, and shows up here for in the status column for chapters as they're processing. We've now actually separated the book processing and the script prep tools processing. So you'll see a second pipeline, and that second pipeline is specifically related to that large language model. Sometimes it can take an unpredictable amount of time for a book to process through that large language model, so you will see that happen. But you can actually access those tools while that second pipeline is going. It will just add in some more details once that pipeline is finished. So hopefully that makes sense.
And you are able to upload. So if it's taking, if it's on the last step where it's going through all the characters, you still are able to upload your audio. So if you're just hoping to do proofing, you can upload audio while that last step is going. So you don't need to wait for it to fully complete. So if it's taking a while, just keep that in mind.
Awesome. And Tad, just on the scan occurrences, says, I used the scan occurrences this week when I realized I'd set a character's name Nicole in some chapters and Nicole in others. It gave me audio samples of each to check, and then generated markers to import the whole book rather than agonizing searches. So really glad that helped you. Probably saved you a bunch of time. We are continually updating the last modified feature here. So this is particularly in relation to if you're working on a project with a team, you can click on this timestamp here and see the edit. Click on this timestamp and see the edit history for that entry. So the word was added, removed, added, removed, added, removed. Let me find a different example here. Here you can actually see, get character data from the custom guide and what happened and who did it. So if all of a sudden in the example Tad just gave with Nicole versus Nicole, he could actually see where that error happened if someone made an accidental, recording or phonetic text there. And then you can fix it, or, I can get mad at Johnny if he's the one who screwed it up. Show character usage is another thing that we have added recently to your custom character guide. So if you have a word in your custom character guide, you can use this show usage button, and then this will actually show every project on which that word was found. We'll likely do the same on the pronunciation side as well over time. So Baloo, these are all going to be found in Jungle Book, but if we had Jungle Book 2, which is a book, which I found out recently and not just a Disney movie, you can click on that and it would show, Jungle Book 1 and Jungle Book 2, or in the case of, any other book series, it would show all of those projects. And then finally, threaded commenting is something we're continually making improvements on. So currently you can do threaded commenting on any of the script prep things. So here, for example, oops, okay, well, I meant to say emphasis on agree, but just we're going to do G. You can comment back and forth. Eventually, in a future release, you will actually be able to tag. I could tag @Johnny and communicate back and forth on those. Okay, finally, this is shockingly on time. If you want to submit a feature request, go to support.positron.com, help center/feature request, or inside of Positron itself, click on the Get Help button. You can either add a support ticket here, or I'm actually surprised there is no feature request here, but we should add that. So in this case, I'll do other. Tell Adam to make webinars shorter. Request, and then that'll go into our support queue. There's also links here once your ticket has been added. Our team does work on multiple different time zones, so we do have very close to round-the-clock support. You can also click on our help center here to search for a resolution. In the meantime, go to our video tutorials, or as many of you know, we do encourage you to book video demos to help learn how to use Positron better. Go to support.positron.com, which I will show you right now, which is a long list of help articles that, as we find new things we need to write, continually populates Johnny's to-do list. And this is that submit a feature request button up here, just that I spoke about. But you can search here for, script prep pricing, and hopefully this will actually work. Preparation tools pricing. So just use that search bar. It's pretty well dialed in terms of finding what you need. And then finally, submitting support tickets. As I said, there are 3 ways. The best way is definitely the Get Help button in Positron. You can email help@positron.com or use our Contact Us page. But again, I would highly encourage you to use that Get Help button, because it will automatically populate the project in question. It'll automatically populate your email and give you an opportunity to upload, screenshots and stuff like that. And a future release hopefully will actually enable you to record a screen share video of the error you're having. Because the more information you give our support team up front, the better and faster we can respond and solve your issue. Okay, that is everything. If there are any questions, now is the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and more. Oh, here we go. How do we get those cool Positron t-shirts? So we do give them away from time to time in some social media promotions and things like that. If you really want one, Josh, send us an email, hello@positron.com, and we'll charge you the low price of $275. But it's Canadian. On email. But I am kidding. If anyone does want, you could, send us an email. I'm sure we can make it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. We got finished 2 minutes early, which is borderline miraculous. But thank you very much for using Positron. And again, please reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.